Hi everyone, I'm Danielle Weiler. I'm doing my project on the attack on Pearl Harbor. In just 2 hours, the Japanese had completed one of the most devastating attacks in U.S. history, killing over 3,500 Americans, sinking and destroying 8 Pacific Fleet battleships, and destroying over 350 aircrafts. Some events that led up to the attack started in September 1940 when the U.S. put an embargo on Japan by prohibiting exports of steel, scrap iron, and aviation fuel to Japan. In July 1941, the U.S., Britain, and the Netherlands froze Japan's assets, which prevented Japan from buying oil, which would eventually make their Navy and Air Force useless. Japan seized their opportunities to take oil resources from Southeast Asia. The U.S. tried to stop this, but refused to enter into the war, so Japan decided to launch a surprise attack against the U.S. The attack was so successful because of the amazing leadership skills of Isoroku Yamamoto. He led his fleet into the attack, killing 3,500 Americans, destroying 8 battleships, and destroying over 350 aircrafts. America declared war after this, and that was exactly what Japan wanted. The project was led by Isoroku Yamamoto. The project type was a military surprise attack, and it was very successful due to his leadership skills. Research is very important for any project. Japan launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor because that was the U.S.'s strongest point. Researching when the best time to attack was took many months, and deciding when the attack would be the most destructive took a lot of time and a lot of research. Planning, scheduling, training, and preparing the attack is also a major step. Japan's biggest concern was the U.S.'s Pacific Fleet, so attacking and destroying it killed any concerns that they had. Then they would go on to attack Burma, Malaya, the East Indies, and the Philippines. They practiced and trained their air fleet and conducted aerial torpedo exercises to prove that an aerial attack could be done against Pearl Harbor. They got the approval of the attack and continued to train the fleet for months to prepare them for this task. There are many things to consider when making these plans: the winter weather, how much fuel they had to launch the planes from far enough away so that they wouldn't be readable on the U.S.'s radar. They wanted to achieve surprise, so this was a very important part of it. Here's a video showing the Japan's preparations for the attack.
敵側はますます混乱状態に陥るのではないかと。操縦士たちの特別訓練は全うした。あとは実戦を待つのみだ。急攻撃を仕掛ければ敵は抵抗しないでしょう。敵側が傍受するように我々の攻撃目的地候補地ハワイ島も含めて暗号全文で発信するよう命令してくれ。そうすれば敵側はますますのって混乱状態に陥ると思う。いいやんだ。夢ですね。 賢明な人間は戦わずして戦に勝つよ。
Trust is also a very key aspect to planning an attack like this, and it's also a very important managerial trait. Many people were risking their lives for this attack, trusting that it was worth it and properly planned out. The attack was supposed to be a surprise, so keeping it a surprise would mean that everyone would have to be quiet and keep it a secret of what their plans were, and that includes trusting the other countries that were allied with Japan to be quiet about the attack, because the U.S. hadn't come out and chose a particular side yet because they didn't want to enter the war. Communication is also one of the key aspects to any project. The plans needed to be very clear, and everyone included in these plans needed to know what was going on. Backup plans needed to be created in case their original plan had gone awry so that everyone knew what to do in case of emergency. Communication can make or break any project, so having clear communication with this many people to have such a crucial attack was very important. Teamwork is also a very important aspect to a project like this. An attack like this takes a lot of training and a lot of intense training, so working together and sticking with it is really important for these people to do. Communicating, listening, and following orders and working together is what can make a project successful, so teamwork is also a very important part of working in a big project like this. The conclusion of this project is why the attack on Pearl Harbor was so successful for Japan. The main reason for this was the leadership of Yamamoto. His communication was very good, in particular because he made sure that everyone knew what the plan was. Everyone was properly trained. The schedule was perfect because they had researched it so intensely that they found the perfect day to attack on Pearl Harbor. They worked as a team and they trusted one another to get the job done, which is also very important. I'm including a video that summarizes the attack and shows some of the footage of it.
A day of infamy. Even as Japanese diplomats were conferring with Secretary of State Hull on peace measures, Nipponese planes were swooping down on Pearl Harbor. This pictorial record includes both U.S. films and pictures made by the enemy as they dropped their load of death on the naval base, on Wheeler Field, on civilian homes and schools. 100 Japanese planes and a number of midget submarines took part in the attack. In an hour and 5 minutes, the battleship Arizona was completely destroyed and 4 others severely damaged. 3 other battleships and 3 cruisers suffered lesser damage. Nearly 200 planes were destroyed. In that Sunday morning inferno, the Pacific Fleet appeared to be completely immobilized by the sneak attack. Nearly 3,000 casualties added to the catastrophe. Within hours, the United States declared war. The attack on Pearl Harbor united Americans as never before in history. In the explosions at Pearl Harbor, there was forged the will for complete and absolute victory over the forces of evil. In Hawaii, civilian and soldier alike turned to the task of caring for the wounded and homeless. At the time, an actual landing by the Japanese was expected, and makeshift plans were made to fight the invader on the beaches and in the streets. The Japanese lost 5 midget subs as well as 29 planes and 100 men. Small cost for the damage they were able to inflict on the U.S. fleet. 2 carriers had been on patrol and thus missed the attack. These 2 ships led other units of the fleet in the battles of the Coral Sea and Midway, less than 6 months later. The first steps on the long road to complete victory.
As you can see, there are many aspects for a good project, and Japan had possessed many of those aspects, which made this a very successful project. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it.